welcome to our channel where we answer questions on immigration. One of the questions that I get most often is, I have filed an application and immigration has requested additional documentation, but I don't have it yet. It's going to take 10 more days, it's going to take 2 more months, it's going to take 3 months, and the deadline is going to pass. What do I do? So this is something very common in immigration applications. Often when processing certain applications, mostly permanent resident application, you have to submit, for example, a medical examination, or you have to submit police clearances or certain criminal documentation that have to be translated. And often these things don't take just a couple of days to obtain, contrary to, for example, if you need a notice of assessment, or if you need a copy of your passport or a birth certificate, that you may already have that at home. But for example, often police clearances can take a couple of months to get, especially from certain countries, and then if it's not in French or English, you have to translate them. So if you need extra time, you are able to ask for an extension of time to the office, the embassy, or the consulate that's processing your application. It's really important that when you ask for the extension of time, first of all, you explain exactly why you're requesting the extension of time. So you can say, I applied, for example, for the RCMP clearance or FBI certificate or the police background check from Spain, but they told me that it's going to take 15 days. They told me it could take at least 30 days. So first you have to explain why you're asking the extension of time. It's good to put evidence that you have filed for, let's say, the FBI report. Usually get a receipt that says that you've paid for it, you've applied for it, you maybe get an email confirmation. So put the evidence, and then you can also say how long you're requesting the extension for. So you could say, I'm requesting 30 days, I'm requesting 60 days, or I'm requesting 90 days. You could sometimes at our office, we don't, because we might not know how long it's going to take in certain complex cases. So sometimes we say we're respectfully requesting an extension of time, and we don't say 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. Most of the times I do say a specific timeline because I have an idea of what it's going to be. But if I'm not sure at all, I kind of just say an extension of time. And then what happens is, usually most of the time the embassy will reply and say your extension is granted. You have an additional 60 days or 90 days. So they will then determine the timeline. So when you do get that answer from the embassy, then you should write down in your calendar the timeline, because that could come very quickly. And if at that point, again, you don't have the documentation, you can ask again another extension of time with the reason and the evidence. You can't ask for extension of time over and over. At some point, you have to produce the documents, and at some point, if there's no specific reason as to why you're not getting the documentation, then the officer can refuse the file. Usually what happens is they send you a letter that says this is the last time. So there's been some files where we had to request 2 times, 3 times for very specific reasons. It's pretty common, but it can't be endless. So if there's a certain situation in the file where it looks like it's going to be impossible to get the documents, for example, often with custody documents involving children, parents that are separating, court dates that are really long, at some point perhaps it's good to withdraw the file, because you don't want to, if you don't withdraw the file, you might have a refusal. So if you don't withdraw, at some point the officer might say, well, you know what, this file is abandoned, or most often than not, they will refuse the file for failing to produce the documentation. So always have to be very careful with immigration timelines. Make sure you put the reason, you put some evidence. Once you get, you've asked for the extension of 30 days, usually it is granted unless you get a letter that says that it's not for some reason. Mark the timeline for the next time, and make sure you follow up to make sure you don't miss any of the required timelines. So if you have any questions about extension of times when it comes to Canadian immigration applications, you can comment at the bottom. You can send me your questions by email. I'd be happy to answer any question you have, and make sure you also subscribe to our channel so that you can get updates on our latest videos. Thank you.